Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Cartoonist Conversations, issue number 10, where we discuss the best cartoons of Australia in the last week. And here we are with me, Jim Bridges, and
me, Tom Rayner.
Yeah, so interesting week, Tom. Lots of things are happening.
This week's talking all about Victoria.
Ah, yeah, local.
We'll start off with a poem from Michael Lunick of The Age.
Coronavirus. So now you're back in town, the mood is going down. What a disappointment, what a fly in the ointment. Such a party pooper. You really are a super, serious pain in the bum. You've made the whole town glum. The world's obsessed with you, but who knows what to do when the things that's running wild is Mother Nature's child.
And I like the way he's got, the corona done with Mr.
Well, they're the typical heads he draws, aren't they? So, in a way, he's saying that we are the virus.
Yes.
We are the virus.
The contagion on this planet.
Mm. And this is Jonas Leake from The Australian.
And he's got a pretty serious message here because there was, 10,000 people who refused to be tested.
In Victoria, up till Friday. That's in a week. 10,000 people refused to be tested in a week.
Yeah, that's quite a significant number.
Yeah.
And he's bringing home the point that, okay, maybe some people have mild symptoms. It's a bit of an inconvenience, but there's other people who suffer greatly from it and can die from it. So we've got to be mindful of each other on this one. Mm. So that's sickly looking green.
Yeah, it's very green, isn't it?
Yes.
Gangrene is green, they say.
Yes.
Now, this is a great cartoon. Glenn Olivera, Instagram. When I saw that, it wasn't moving, it wasn't animated, but I thought, poor old Dan, the man, Andrews, he's caught between branch stacking and COVID, and he's copping it, sweet. And it's called Newton's Cradle.
Cradle, yes.
I've always wanted to know, so I'm glad you found that out, Tom. And of course he updated with the next cartoon, which is the world's caught in the same place. And that one was animated. It goes click, click, backwards and forwards.
Yeah, everyone's getting pounded by the virus.
And it's monotonous, isn't it? It just goes on and
really
on and
is.
on. I think that's one of the best metaphors of that symbol ever been used so far.
Is he suggesting he's going to be 4 waves?
I think it's like one of those machines that continually keep working.
Perpetual motion.
That's it.
Perpetual infection.
Yeah.
And the world don't look very happy.
Yeah. Matt Golding of The Age.
Victoria's escalating COVID-19 outbreak will get worse before it gets better. Mm. And suddenly, what area your school was in?
Well, it's what school
was the desired thing, and now...
Yeah, what suburb?
Yeah, people want to know, where did you go, what suburb?
Yeah, people actually want to know where I live now. I've noticed that in the last week. They want to know, where do you live? Where do you live? They've known me for a long time, but they don't want to know where I live. And they do now.
And when you say Moreland, they step back.
Well, Moreland... No one lives in Moreland, do they? It's a big area, it's not a specific area.
Yeah, it's actually, that goes from Brunswick.
And all these people now are actually thinking about postcodes they never did before.
Yes. And
Harry Bruce, the Cairns Post. And there she is, the Premier of
Queensland,
the border.
She was under a lot of pressure to open up the borders.
Yes.
And she, waited and waited and waited. And so here it's like peeking through the curtains and she can see the storm brewing in Victoria. And I'm sure, like, even welcome to Queensland has been crossed, the welcome's been crossed down.
But also, all the Victorians and Tasmanians go up to Queensland to get away from the cold weather.
That's right.
At this time of year. So that's what it's all about.
But they don't want Victorians, unfortunately.
They want their money, but not Victorians.
Yes. Yeah. So what we've got now, instead of Melbourne-Sydney rivalry, we've got the North against the South.
Yes. Well, I've always had that. Now, this is a great cartoon. John Spooner of the Australian. Plague. Bring out your soon-to-be dead.
Yeah, and if it believes that political violence is justifiable against those it views as fascists or neo-Nazis. And Donald Trump, actually, he's classed them as being a terrorist group.
Yeah.
Whereas this whole movement started in Europe way back in the days when the Nazis were rising.
Anti-fascist.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, the statues of the headless statues and Rome, like the...
So what's John saying here is, and if rescuing the science and free speech and human rights, or are they just...
Well, these things are getting, you know, under the COVID thing, all these things are starting to disappear, aren't they?
Mm.
You know, free speech.
Well, different regulations and stuff like that. It's almost by stealth. We're suddenly losing our democracy.
I like those trees he's painted in the background because it looks like a slightly Roman Tuscany look, you know.
Well, this plague, I think what he's implying here, the plague is robbing us of our, you know, freedom, our rights.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful picture. I like it.
Yeah. Now this is great moments in post-pandemic history.
Yeah, David Pape, Canberra Times. He reckons that Queensland has come down again to show us that kick and catch football is better than what we play at the AFL. Hands off, just kick and catch, you know. And not to have the rucks and the like. Well, they call it a congested Victorian mall.
But look what they got on their backs.
The backpacks.
Because they haven't got a home anymore. You know.
That's right. Yeah, the AFL teams, you know.
Well, football's always been used as a north-south divide thing, you know.
That's right, the NRL.
Like what do they call it? The Sydney Siders call AFL Sydney. What are they? Aerial ping pong.
Yes.
And what do we call rugby? Bum sniffers or something.
Push and grunt.
Bum sniffers, you know.
Push and grunt.
Yeah. And this is, you know, where Melbourne actually wins something against Sydney. Yeah, Matt Golding of The Age.
Yeah, Victoria, no painless exit from pandemic, and everyone agrees.
Yeah. Well, you got to blame someone.
And Kathy Wilcox, Sydney Morning Herald, interstate travel. Everybody wants it, but they don't want anyone from Victoria. And someone saying, remember, if anyone asks, we're going to take care of some elderly relatives.
It's a pity that cartoon wasn't closer.
Yes.
You know, like a closer drawing of it. Craig Mann of the Gold Coast Bulletin, very cynical, very cynical. Look at those faces.
Watch out for virusy Victorians.
Yeah. Very, very cynical.
They like to look down their noses, but they won't look up them. In other words, they refuse to testing.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a dig at that one.
Yeah.
And black. What do they imply that Victorians wear black all the time?
They do. They do. You just drive through Melbourne. Well, you'd see nobody now, but if you drive through Melbourne normally, all these people outside a building smoking cigarettes, and they've all got black clothes on. Yeah, and there's another Harry Bruce from the Cairns Post. He's an interesting guy because he does stuff for the Cairns Post and the Townsville Bulletin, doesn't he? Yes.
And actually, this one here, the Queensland had made the decision to open the borders,
Yeah.
but with reservations about
Victorians.
And if you come from the lockdown postcodes, nobody wants you.
Well, they've done a few backflips on that, haven't they?
Yes.
Because they want their money.
They want the money, but they don't want the people. Maybe you just hand your wallet over at the border. Make a donation.
Yeah, this is a really good cartoon. I really like this one because at COVID Casino, you know, she's hit the jackpot because her casinos are open and his
The
aunt.
cash
And
is
of course,
flowing.
we all know that governments make money, more money out of casinos than the average punter does. And of course, look, no cases, and of course he's just got nothing but COVID coming up.
Just
Yeah. And the AFL's Matt Golding again at the age. Sydney shapes up, you know.
yeah, on the first they were talking about going to Sydney.
Yeah, but it's now actually it's now Gold Coast now.
Yeah, Queensland looked at it and I think they realised there's money to be made here.
Yes.
So they are happy to have our footballers.
Well, you see, this cartoon came out on the 1st, and of course, 3 days ago, the Premier of Queensland said no. There's 6 Melbourne clubs are relocating to Gold Coast, so that's been updated. That cartoon, and she also added we might as well have the grand final up here as well, which is going to really put the food in, you know.
But Victorians.
Yeah, so it's a combination of state rivalry and North versus South again, isn't it?
Well, Victoria's always been very possessive about the grand final.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's almost sacrilegious.
Yeah, but I don't know what all this talk is about because they're contracted to play the grand final in the MCG till 2053. So it's just talk.
Yeah.
They've contracted, so it's not going to happen.
But she can see the potential.
Yeah. And this is a great cartoon by Matt, you know. It's back to the future.
Yeah, this was such a retrograde step for Melbourne, having to lock down suburbs.
And Matt actually, I feel that because Matt draws very quickly, and in this one he spent a bit of time on Dan, because I think he feels sorry for him.
Yeah, that's a really good rendition.
Yeah, but he really feels sorry for him. So I think Matt, for the age, Matt Golding, has done this because he's stuck between well, I mean, you can talk about that later on, but when this cartoon came out, he was really stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that's it. He couldn't move. And now it's actually even gone worse, hasn't it, as we move on?
Absolutely pear-shaped.
Yeah. And so this is, you know, Australia, Victoria's on the nose.
Yeah, we're certainly not a part of Australia anymore.
Yeah.
They've moved Tasmania to off the coast of South Australia and letting Victoria just drift away slowly.
Yeah. That's what friends are for, Tom. Matt Golding, the age again.
Victoria gets cold shoulder over hotspots.
So this is hanging shit on the Sydney-Melbourne rivalry again.
Yeah, Sydney Premier said they will fine people up to, I think it's about, was it $11,000 if you come from one of the hotspot areas.
And what you found in New South Wales.
Yeah.
But
and they have already caught one person who came up on the train overnight.
Okay, so $11,000, that's equivalent of wearing that jumper for 6 months, is it?
Yes.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. Well, what self-respecting Victorian would be seeing a New South Wales T-shirt?
That's a Ken Doan picture.
Yeah.
Matt Golding, the age. Kids, you smell that? As you're going past the place where Vegemite's made.
Yeah.
That's how the other states feel about Victorians right now.
Yeah.
And I like the way, the only thing I would like about that cartoon, because I don't particularly, I go past that place all the time and I've never smelt it, but I like the way they're holding their noses. And suddenly I realised, gee, he draws big noses.
Yes.
So I like the way he's drawn that attention to that. I like that.
And the new lockdown, can I see my partner? Can I go to the pub? Can I play golf? And hoarding toilet paper.
Well, all this stuff has happened. I mean, they're about to, I mean, it started again, the toilet paper hoarding thing. But obviously she's taking a photograph. Little girl's got no one to play with except a whole bunch of toilet paper. And of course, so Matt Golding of The Age decides, well, you know.
I think what's going to happen, people are not sure if their suburb's going to be locked down.
That's right. I mean,
so they're going to start
today's Sunday,
hoarding.
but yesterday, because people thought that maybe their suburb was going to be locked down, yesterday all over the place, you couldn't get a car park around any shops. It was just crazy. It was like, it was Christmas Eve or something. It was crazy. Yeah. Now we're gone up to the Coorabell in Queensland.
We've heard about,
Lethbridge.
Yep.
And here we are again, refuse entry to people wearing too much black, sipping latte and expressing the opinion that AFL is the best game.
Yes.
But we need some more bloody metaphors in this country besides sport bloody metaphors.
Yes.
Now this is just a simple cartoon about the emphasis is on
Who's
postcodes,
next? Andrew Dyson.
Where do you live?
Yes.
Where do you live? Which postcode?
There
And
used
it's a
to
lottery.
be, what
It's a
job you
lottery.
had.
It's a postcode lottery.
That's right.
Well, your numbers come up, Tom.
Not yet. We're close, though. We're awfully close.
You're actually squashed between two people, aren't you?
Yes, West Brunswick and Faulkner.
Yeah.
And Hume and all those.
Yeah. Now, David Pope of the Canberra Times. Now, he's done this cartoon before where our Prime Minister's gone back to bed for 5 minutes more. Do you want to talk about it, Tom?
Yeah, I think Scott's feeling a bit overwhelmed, like Dan Andrews. He's got, the university fees, people having to rely on food bank for food, the growing unemployment, and now the lockdowns. And it's almost like he was hoping for a snapback in September where everything could be great again.
Well, he snapped back to bed.
And this is really, a lot of, the job keeper
Yeah.
and funds, different funding programs are meant to stop in September.
And look at the clock.
Yeah, July 2020.
He set the alarm for July 2020 and it's all going to be better, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So poor Scott,
And he's
Scotty.
got worried
Now,
eyes
why
there.
did he draw Scotty's hair like that?
I think he started drawing him like Krusty the Clown, and then he just kept going. He just kept
It's a
going.
look that suits him, isn't it?
That's a terrible thing to say about our Prime Minister. Have a bit of respect for
And I
him.
love the eyes, always the black
The
eyes.
fear. Look at the fear. He's
Yeah.
quite worried, isn't he?
Good cartoon.
Now, this is not Harry Bruce of the Daily Telegraph. This
Yes,
is-
mistake here. Sorry about
this is,
that, folks.
Ponticus. Is that his name? From the Daily Telegraph?
Yes, I
And
think
it's a
so.
caricature of the Queensland Premier and the Victorian Premier. And he's out.
New South Wales Premier, actually.
Oh, sorry, it
Gladdy.
is, yes.
Gladdy.
Yeah, Gladdy.
Yeah, and
And-
she's done the right thing from the start. She, got them to bring in the army and the police to supervise the quarantine.
Well, actually, in the beginning, it looked like that Dan had done the right thing because people were complaining about how the heavy thing of police were pulling. I mean, they pulled over that 15-year-old girl who's learning how to drive. No, so they pulled over an 18-year-old girl who's learning to drive and she got a $15,000 fine or something. And that went all over Australia. So they were saying at least Victorians are doing it properly. But it's all gone
The last
pear-shaped
years
for it
has
because
gone totally pear-shaped.
because the police and the army have much more discipline than
Well, I think it's better training
private
too.
security.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they had the discipline to do that,
It's
So he's run out of puff in that picture, hasn't he?
yeah, unfortunately, he looks
He's not
naked.
That's right. And this is a good cartoon because by Jim Pavlidis of the Sydney Morning Herald, but he really does it in the Age down in Melbourne because he lives down there. And that just shows you how the COVID just...
Well, this is the old analogy, you know. Remember we used to say, "Oh, it's raining next door."
Yeah.
And
but this is about
the different postcodes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's about postcodes.
Suburbs understay at home. You know, how is it that you're right next to a suburb? You can go out and do most of the things you want to do without any restrictions.
Yeah.
And the poor guys up the road can't do anything.
And what's actually happened yesterday is that there are all these 20-storey flats, housing commission flats, which have been locked down. People aren't allowed out of them.
I couldn't think of anything worse to be stuck
I know,
in one of those.
and there's all sorts of people in those flats who have health problems, psych problems, and they weren't given.
Well, they're the vulnerable people.
Yeah, they just woke up and that's it. It's all locked down. They're locked. They're actually locked and down up in space, sort of virtually.
And as someone commented on the radio, they said they didn't even have balconies. They can't go outside and get fresh air.
Yeah.
And they're trying to work out how can they organise.
Oh, they do have balconies. That's not true. They do have balconies, but they're a shared balcony. Yeah,
the one on the roof.
Oh, you can't get up on the roof. Oh no, can't get up on the roof.
Too many might want to, you know.
Well,
they'll leave.
There's a lot of. I mean, there's too many diving boards up on the roof. You don't go up on the roof, mate. That's no good, you know. And Matt Golding of The Age, deciding to actually fill the whole picture this time with colour. And this is referring to the...
hotel quarantine.
Yeah, the security guards.
The security. Yeah. And this could be the biggest scandal of Dan Andrews' career.
Yes, because...
now, there's a bit of a story with this that...
It still hasn't changed.
Who was supposed to be supervising it?
Yeah.
Dan said, the buck stops with him. But the actual responsibility was with the health department.
Yeah.
And apparently the woman at the head of the department has been moved sideways.
Because
the job wasn't done efficiently.
Okay.
Improper oversight of the program.
But also the fact that he didn't use police or the army in the first place. Sorry, he didn't use the army in the first place.
Yeah.
And security guards.
Well, that was apparently the public services decision. He said, okay, we've got to do this and this and this. And it was up to each different department to implement it.
Okay, but also the police union, they didn't want the army to come in.
Well, there has been suggestions, yes.
Yeah.
There's the demarcation
doing our job. The old demarcation dispute. Oh. And look at that moat. Look at the shape of that moat.
Victoria.
And here's a continuation, Hotel Goran, and there's another Matt Goldie, so security is a cat.
Yeah, well, the day after that story broke, they were still using private security guards in hotels.
Well, are they still now?
Yes.
Are they still using them even now?
There was in today's paper, one of the airport hotels, someone who's been in there for 14 days, she said they just wandered around without PPE equipment. She was handed a bunch of equipment that should have gone into a bin and stuff like that. It was just a total schmozzle. I can't understand it. It's falling apart.
Yep.
You'd think they'd be a bit more alert to it, but it just seems to gathered this momentum.
But it's not a second wave. It's not a second wave, is it?
No, it's just a breakout.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you think will happen? Do you think the same thing will happen to the other states?
Well, so far they seem to have managed it.
But you see, Queensland, look, the point is, Queensland has always had more population outside the main city of Brisbane then because all the other states, all the population is in the city.
Yeah.
That's the only one that's not like that. Plus, COVID goes faster in the cold weather, and it's always warm up there. Matt Gold in The Age, we were told to wash our hands for 20 seconds, but the mini hotel soaps only last for 10.
But the management of the hotel or the Stanford said that they blame the government and its contractors for the outbreak.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are saying their staff weren't infected, but the security guards were.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a...
But also Victorians doing much more testing than any other state, and the more you test, the more you're going to find people.
Well, they have to now. They've got to try and find... There's talk of a super spreader out there.
Yeah, I keep on hearing that, but they haven't done a cartoon on it yet, have they?
No.
And this is about the sexual side, because...
guards and guests...
They're having sex.
Sex claims.
Yeah.
Peter Broman.
So,
COVID, herpes, HIV, HPV. So the list goes
the
on. The
testing
on.
station looks like a sausage sizzle outside of Bunnings, doesn't it?
Bunnings, yes.
Yeah. And what's the little cat saying? Testing times. Yeah.
Come and get the virus of your choice.
Next. What's next? Oh, yeah.
Warren Brown, the Daily Telegraph.
This is an oldie, isn't it? Is this an oldie? No, it's up to date.
Yeah, he's the time to go, Victorians.
Yeah.
Even when they, carrying a virus, it's all fussy about their coffee.
Yeah. And of course, we all know that Melbournians wear black, and so does death.
Yes.
Yeah, of course,
A perfect match.
Yeah. David Rowe, the Financial Review. Do you want to talk about this?
Yes, this is the Eden-Monaro by-election, which you all know the results of now, but...
I know.
I think it's just great.
Labor won, apparently.
Just.
Yeah, we just heard on the news, yeah.
The Garden of Eden and the GTS Monaro after Titan.
Titian. Well, it's not his real name even, but...
Well,
Titian was famous as a colourist.
Yes.
He was a famous colourist, and he had red hair, I think, and they called him his colour named after him, Titian Red. But
is that a dead wombat?
That's a dead wombat. That's definitely a dead wombat. But there's the Monaro in the background, which was really popular with the police, and gangsters liked it because it was fast. And if you bought a second-hand Monaro and it had bullet holes in it, the back, it cost you more.
See, and that area was badly affected by the bushfires.
Yeah.
And they still haven't received all the compensation.
And look at the cocky. The cocky's lost his feathers from the top. He's looking a bit perplexed. They're all waiting to see, are they going to get any help up there?
Scotty, has he got a bunch of viruses in his hand?
Yes, he has. Yeah, the fruits of his labours.
Yeah.
And Albanese looks a bit like a previous Labor. Beasley looks a bit like Beasley.
Yeah, that's right. That's I put it first. I thought, what's Beasley doing?
Yeah, and of course the voting is over the private parts, which is always funny.
Yes.
It's always funny. Would you vote for that private part as opposed to this private part?
And it's a big
with all
test for Labor.
Yeah, with all the branch stacking stuff that's been going on. So Alan Moyer of the Sydney Morning Herald has got all the flies hanging around.
The Chinese,
the road to recovery. It's all uphill, but it looks like they've won the election, so that's
the foreign interference.
Yeah.
The branch stacking.
Yeah.
And Albanese's just hadn't really had a chance to prove himself yet, and this by-election was going to be a test of the Labor brand.
Yeah.
To see how damaged it's been.
Yeah.
But they got across the line, so that's the main thing.
I think I'm not sure about
this. And it's the first woman in 70 years from that area to be elected.
Wasn't she the local mayor?
Mayor, yes.
And therefore, so she's already got her profile.
Popular anyway.
Yeah.
It's a good choice.
Yeah.
These days you got to do all this stuff to you.
And Craig Mann of the Gold Coast, a bulletin.
Well, the AFL's prayers were answered, you know. Moses has parted the waters.
Yeah, and let him go.
And we've gone forth to Queensland.
Yes. He's a very cynical man, Craig Mann, isn't he? Very cynical.
Yes.
Very cynical.
Who would have thought?
But do you like all the social distancing of the players?
Yes.
They're all standing.
Yeah, who would have thought, the AFL would move to Queensland?
Well, that's right, but it's about money, isn't it, Tom?
Yes.
It's all about money.
And money parts water.
Yeah, David Pope of the Canberra Times, and this talking about the new law they passed.
Well,
in Hong
China,
Kong.
yeah, China's passed this national security law,
In Hong
which
Kong.
is to combat the protesters and to fight for democracy.
And of course, Australia's said all the Hong Kong people can come to Australia, and England's come out and said they'll accept up to 3 million Hong Kongians. That's a lot.
And I like to see the lever,
Yeah,
and it's also a trapdoor.
yeah,
So, yeah, they ask you, are you committed to freedom of the press? Are you prepared to expose
yeah,
or hypothetically illegal government activities?
yeah,
And that's referring to the military, well, the report in by the Age journalist of civilians being killed by the military in Afghanistan.
But it's also an Australian. Look at that top corner, the right-hand corner.
Yeah, Peter Dutton.
Yeah, it's and that's what is it? Potatoes see everything.
Yes.
And he's Mr. Potato Head.
He's got all the eyes of the potato.
That's right, looking everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the first question on an Australian official form for
application to
yeah, and of course,
for a visa.
if you answer the wrong, where it's pull lever, that's it. You're out.
So if you say no, you can go to the next question. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the trapdoor opens and your application
stacked against you.
failed.
And now what's happened with the China thing, I was really shocked because it just seemed like I woke up and hear the news that they're spending all this money on
What is it?
defence
It's only like
against China, and
$57 billion.
they kept talking about China. Yeah. And of course, it's almost like they were declaring war on China, or there's going to be war declared next week. And that's really so here is, people are asking the question, well, will Morrison become a wartime leader? But it's, Jesus Christ, I mean...
Well, Scotty's saying that we have to be prepared. I think it's a bit of an admission too that we can't rely on the US anymore.
Well, of course, I know, but I don't know. I just think the way they're going about it is
talk about poking the stick at the dragon.
Yeah, that's right. And so, John Shakespeare of the Sydney-Melbourne Herald has turned him. It's not the first time he's been turned into Churchill. It's not the first time.
He quite looks the part, doesn't he?
Yeah, how good is this? Yeah. John Spooner of the Australian, oppression.
Onyx.
Yeah.
And
Hong Kong, China, and Australia.
Mr. Clever IT engineer, where will your freedom get you now? And he says, Australia, I hope.
Yeah, well, he doesn't say it. He doesn't say it, he thinks it.
Australia has offered express visas to skilled people from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And apparently that's really irritating the dragon again.
Yeah.
Because they're telling us they want Australia to stay out of our internal affairs.
Well, there's a lot of very skilled people in Hong Kong because it was the epicentre of
I think
of money making in the world for a long time.
Scotty sees the opportunity because there's people who have money, they entrepreneurs, they clever people.
Yeah.
So, and Australia wants the clever people. And it's interesting, there's a lot of
the
comments in their pages.
The trouble with clever people, they all vote for Collingwood, Tom.
But there was a lot of comments about why don't they do the same thing for refugees. But I think
They're not clever enough.
yeah, that's I feel is not being said. One lot's skilled and the other's not.
Well, I mean, they also want people with money, and of course, the public don't. They just see them as
yeah, refugees.
Yeah,
It's the humanitarian side of it.
So we finished with Michael Looney's reclutter your life and be happy
again.
He doesn't look that happy, does he?
No, everything's gone. So with all that, the world going pear-shaped outside, you might as well just surround yourself with all the things you like.
And of course, the floorboards
cluttered.
The floorboards look very oppressive, don't they?
Very good.
Very oppressive.
Yes.
Well, we leave you with Michael Lee and his philosophy. God knows what the hell's going to come next week. Yeah.
Okay, this is
goodbye from him.
And this is goodbye from me.
And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.